Imagine walking into work one day and they tell you, we're removing your project management tool. Starting today, use Excel, PowerPoint, and Word. No warning, no transition. Now, be honest. Are you still confident in your ability to actually lead a project? Or was confidence tied to a tool? Hmm. Think every project manager in that room had that same face. Nobody said a word. Eyebrows were raised, slight kind of head tilt. They were thinking everything, but not saying it out loud. They wanted us to fail. That's what we were all thinking because we had just been told Microsoft project is going to be taken away. No rollout plan, no replacement, just use Excel for your schedules. Use PowerPoint for your status report. And you know that thing called Microsoft Word? We're going to use that for our project plans. Let me pause here parenthetically for just a quick second. I just want to say project plans and project schedules are not the same thing. Okay, I'm sorry. Let's get back to our original broadcast. See, you could feel the intensity, the excitement. Okay, there really wasn't no excitement. You could feel the frustration in the room. It was tense, the quiet frustration, because in their minds, we had just lost control. The one thing we thought we actually needed was gone. But then the PMO director stepped in, looked around the room and said something that really shifted all of our mindset. Don't get so caught up in the tool that you forget about the outcome. And just like that, silence. Because he didn't talk about the features. He didn't talk about the timelines. He didn't even talk about the transition. He said the outcome is simple. Projects deliver on time or under budget with control scope and maintaining quality. Ladies and gentlemen, that is the actual job. And in that moment, everything changed because we thought we lost. Well, that was never really the real problem. The real problem was how dependent we had become on a tool to do the thinking for us, because now no more automated schedule, no more system doing the heavy lifting. Now we must think deeper. We must communicate clear and actually understand what's actually happening in the project, not just reporting on it. And I'll be honest with you, family, I didn't like it at first. I'm a big software type individual, but looking back, I needed that because it forced a question every project manager has to face at some point. If you take away the plan, if you take away the tool, if you take away the structure, can you still lead a project to the outcome? Because at the end of the day, the outcome is the only story that gets told. Principle number one, the outcome is the only story that gets told. Oh, this is going to be a good episode, family. See, at the end of the project, nobody asked, how clean was your project schedule? How detailed was your project plan? The one thing they asked, did it work? Did you complete it? When are we going to have this ship? See, the outcome is what gets remembered, reported, as well as judged. Why is this important? If focus stays on managing the plan and the schedule, instead of delivering the actual result, it becomes easy to feel productive without actually being effective. Oh, that's hard. Here's 2 actionable tips I'd love for you to experiment. Right? Start every status update with the outcome. Are we on track to deliver the result? This is either a yes or no, and then explain why. Next one, tie every task back to impact. If it doesn't move the outcome forward, question why does it exist? Here's my professional advice, family. Shift language from are we on schedule to are we on track of delivering whatever that item is? And finally, in order to focus on the outcome, something must and has to change about how you view the plan. Principle number 2, plan is a starting point, not a contract. I came here to cook today. You guys got the dishes on this one. See, plans are built on assumptions at a point in time. When execution starts, reality starts testing those assumptions immediately. I've seen project managers after a project charter has been signed off on, and they want to go back and change the charter. It was like, wait a minute. No, we don't go back and change the charter, the project charter, if we're already in initiating, basically working on our project management plan. The project charter is a static document. What is a static document? That means once we get executive sign off or sponsor sign off, we are moving into our planning efforts. I'm sorry, fam. I just had to get that out because a lot of times what I've seen is that we treat the charter as something that you keep continuously update after a signature has been executed on. Why is this important? Treating the plan like a contract creates resistance to change, even when change is necessary. Here's 2 actionable tips I'd love for you to experiment with. Revalidate your plan weekly. Ask, what has changed that impacts the plan? Again, what has changed that impacts the plan? Next one, document assumptions clearly so when the break or adjustments are easier to basically justify. Here's my professional advice, family. Don't defend the plan. Defend the decisions to adjust when it's needed. And once you stop treating the plan like something that can't change, you'll finally focus on what actually matters. Principle number 3, protect the objective, not the method. Ooh, I like that, family. See, there are multiple ways to achieve the same outcome. The method is just one path, not the only path. Why is that important? Overcommitting to one approach can block better, faster, or even just more realistic solution. Here's 2 actionable tips I'd love for you to experiment with. When blocked, ask your team for 2 alternative paths to reach the same goal. Next one, reframe discussions from this is how we planned it to this is what we need to achieve. Here's my professional advice, family. Strong project managers, no. Exceptional project managers are flexible in their approach, but firm in the outcomes. And when that method breaks, that's where most people panic. But there's actually opportunity that is showing up in front of you. Principle number 4, constraints reveal creativity. See, when resources, tools, or timelines are limited, teams are forced to think differently. I don't know about you, family, but I love to think differently because see that pressure? It creates better solutions. See, that pressure creates better opportunities. See, that pressure allows me to stretch further than if I wouldn't have received the pressure in the first place. Why is this important? Seeing constraints as blockers, it limits progress. Seeing them as challenges, watch what happens. It unlocks innovation. Experiment with these actionable tips. When facing a constraint, ask, if we had to deliver this anyway, how would we do it? See, that opens up another part of your mind because sometimes we can get so caught up on the problem that we can lose our focus or our vision onto the actual solution. That wasn't even part of today's episode, but that's a free tip just to give you anyway. My next tip, set short problem-solving sessions focused on solution, not problems. Here's my professional advice, man. Some of the best project decisions don't come from planning. They just don't. Because you're planning against what you believe could or possibly happen. They actually come from pressure. But even the best ideas fail if the team doesn't understand what is happening. Principle number 5, your team needs clarity, not complexity. When plans become too complex, when schedules have 600 lines but have no direction or no vision, when teams lose focus, is because they are confused on how we're going to execute. So confusion, watch this, family, it slows execution down and it delays the direction the project is going. Why is this important? Clarity, it keeps everyone aligned. Clarity, it helps you understand where we've been and where we plan on going. And if that plan is interrupted, then we know we need to change quickly. Here's 2 actionable tips I'd love for you to experiment with. Simplify communication. Again, simplify communication. What's the goal? What has changed? What do we do next? Next one. Repeat key priorities consistently so there's no confusion on direction. Here's my professional advice, family. If your team is asking the same questions repeatedly, it's not them. It's the clarity that you've provided. Because listen, at the end of the day, it's not the plan doing the work. Principle number 6, plans don't deliver, people do. I'm going to say that one more time. Plans don't deliver, people do. See, a plan is only as strong as the people executing it. Execution lives in the team, not in the document. The document is there to help support it, but the teams must deliver on what we all agreed on and be willing to make a change if we need to make a change. Why is this important? Focusing too much on tools and plans can cause you to overlook the people that are actually driving the outcomes and or results. Here's 2 actionable tips I'd love for you to experiment with. Spend time understanding your team's blockers, not just tracking tasks. Next one, build trust so your team communicates issues early when it's late. Here's my professional advice, family. If your team isn't aligned, no plan, and I promise you this, will ever save the team or the project. And even when you have a strong team, things they can go left. I'm just going to be honest with you. Basically, they will go wrong. Principle number 7, risk management is not a checkbox. Risks are not static. That is basically saying, family, we're not going to just log a risk and never look at it. They evolve as the project evolves. A one-time risk assessment is just not enough. Why is this important? Ignoring evolving risk leads to surprises. Uh-oh, I didn't know that. And that surprise, you know what that does. That surprise destroys outcomes. So experiment with these actionable tips. Use a RAID log. What does that RAID acronym stand for? Risk, assumptions, issues, and decisions. Why do we want to use that? Because we want to review that on a weekly basis. Why do we want to review that? We want to understand where we're currently at and what is the current reality, not what people try to make up or try to hide. Here's my next tip I'd love for you to experiment with. Assign clear ownership for each risk so accountability is visible. Here's my professional advice. If you're surprised by a risk, it's because you have stopped managing it. And when those risks start turning into real issues, how you respond, family, matters more than anything. Principle number 8, escalate based on impact, not emotions. Again, escalate based on impact, not emotion. Escalation should be driven by the risk to the outcome, not frustration or the pressure. What am I saying here? Let me break that down for you. What I'm saying, family, is that when we have an escalation, first of all, we need a solution. First of all, we need to understand, why are we escalating this particular risk or issue that we have that we do not, we already attempted all the solutions that we possibly can. Now we need additional support. This is not an emotional driven. This is not a pressure driven. This is not a frustration driven. This is pure on the data of saying, hey, we've done X, Y, and Z, and it's just not working. So we need additional help. Why is this important? Late or emotional escalation creates confusion, while timely escalation, it creates alignment. Here's 2 actionable tips I'd love for you to experiment with. Escalate early when there's a clear impact to timeline, scope, or cost, as well as quality. What are we speaking about there? The triple constraints. My next one, present escalations with options, not just with problems. Again, family, when we're escalating, we want to present what we've done, not what we've tried, because we understand there's a difference. I love what Les Brown talks about. When you sit down, you don't try and sit down. Either you sit down or you don't. So we don't try to come up with options. We don't try to come up with solutions. We've actually done them, and this is the readout from those particular solutions. Here's my professional advice, family. Strong leaders escalate to protect the outcome just to protect themselves. Because listen, when you stop protecting the plan and start protecting the outcome, everything about you leading the project actually change. Here's the truth, family. Let me leave you with this. Nobody's going to remember your plan. Nobody's going to remember your project schedule, your tool, how well you document it, but people will remember how they felt when the project was slipping. They will remember when timelines had to be moved. They will remember when trying to figure out what was going on and how you supported them. And in those moments, they will judge you. I'm sorry to tell you, but they will question your direction. They will even question your decisions. And that pressure alone is really real. That is the realest thing when you're a leading project. And that's the part of the role as being a project manager that nobody really talks about out loud. But here's also what can happen. If you deliver, if you adjust when things break, if you keep your team alive, if you make the decisions that protect the outcome, I promise you, no, I can't make promises here. How about I'll say this? Everything will change. How about this? Those same stakeholders, they have no choice they won't have to make a choice. They made a decision to trust you. That same team now follows you with confidence. And those same questions, they turn into respect. Not because your plan was perfect, but because you delivered and when it's mattered most. So when things start to shift, when the plan starts to break, when the pressure starts to build. Don't hold on tighter to the schedule. Don't hold up tighter to the plan. That's not leadership. Step up, adjust, communicate, and make the decision that protects the outcome, not your comfort. Because project managers who succeed, it isn't about having that perfect plan or that perfect schedule. It's the one who can still deliver when everything starts to fall apart at the same time while people are watching. If you're new to this episode, I go by the name of ED. For all you smart and intelligent folks out there, hey, that just simply means it. Until next time.